Come on, eh, eh, eh. Come on in, sip some tea while we spilling the tea. Eh. Real talk, real smiles down the street. Safe space vibes, clarity. Pull up a chair, yeah, your family.
Here we go. It's going.
Oh, we're back. Oh, hello, people.
Surprise!
All right, the two aunties in dentistry.
Guess who's back?
Girl, we are officially the aunties.
Okay.
All right, so let's talk about, would you like a pay cut?
Right.
But not in the sense of what people are well, it kind of does actually
Right.
cut into that.
It does.
Yeah.
Literally.
Let's
Listen to it.
Yeah, what we're going to talk about basically is about discounts and specials, how they may help patients, but what they may cost the team's bottom line. Yeah, this is a
Topic.
I don't know. It kind of made my scrubs a little tight.
Well,
Just a smidgen.
Just the thing for me is, girl, that's a pain point for me.
I know it has been.
Discounts in healthcare. Like, this dentistry is healthcare. Dentistry is part of your overall healthcare. So you have diabetes, then you have gum issues. You're pregnant, you have gum issues. You have heart issues, you have gum issues. This is not disconnected from the rest of your body, right? So for me, it's when patients ask a couple of things. I don't like the word price in dentistry. What a price? It's a fee, because with a fee comes a service. When you say price, that gives the assumption that it could be wiggled with. It could be negotiated. A price can be negotiated.
It's all about the words.
A fee is attached to a service, and that fee is that fee for that service. Now, I'll give you a discount if you want me to cut corners on the service. That's the only way. But people are constantly asking for discounts in dentistry. Well, can I get a discount? Is that the best you could do on that?
Oh, I've heard that. I hate that.
This is not a car dealership.
Oh, yeah. When I first heard a guy ask me, is that the best y'all can do? The best y'all can do? I kid you not. When he said that, I was like, I said, I'm sorry. I mean, because I didn't know how to respond to that right then and there with that. But it made me cringe.
Yes.
Like, literally, because I would not go to my doctor's office, my gyno, or
your endocrinologist,
yes,
or your cardiologist to stand there and come out of your mouth with, is there a discount, or is that the best you could do? Now, I understand the fee structure around medicine and dentistry is different because of, especially if there's insurance involved, because medical insurance pays differently than dental benefits.
Insurance. I'm glad you said that.
So what we have to do is start educating patients, first of all, on the difference between the two.
The language,
the words. So for me, when someone asked, the first time someone asked can I get a discount? I was intentionally very dramatic on my response. I was very intentional in being dramatic. It was,
oh, you clutched your pearls?
I said, oh, hold on, wait a minute. Like, a discount on the healthcare? And then it's like, well, when you put it like that, I guess it does sound silly.
It has been so normalized.
It has been normalized, especially after COVID, when people are wanting patients to come back, especially during the times when people were not getting paid from the government. It was all about getting the best price for your dental care. And for me, here's what happens when you start doing that.
And who would do it?
Right. Here's what happens when you start doing that. When you start offering discounts, and a lot of people do it to bring people into the office. They give a $99 special for new patients to come into the office, and you get that you get a cleaning, exam, and x-rays with that. Of course, there's always fine print that says, you know, if you have a periodontal problem, you know how you...
And 9 times out of 10, when they come in there, they're going to have a periodontal problem. And then when you diagnose it and tell them, then they'll say, but but it's a cleaning, right? You said here
right,
that it's...
you had a $99 special. So that creates a whole nother narrative within the dental health field anyway. But once you start offering those kind of discounts, then it's a discount on everything. So you may think you have this grand idea to bring a patient in for $99 for their new patient special, but your crown and buildup is going to be $2,500. They're going to expect some kind of discount on that. And then when you say no, that patient goes elsewhere to the next $99 special.
To shop for the next best deal.
Next best deal. So for me, offering discounts in dentistry seems silly, because think of it in these terms. Number one, if my practice is going to go ahead and start offering discounts, in my mind, in my independent contractor mind, I'm thinking, so you're going to be collecting less money, so now you're not going to be able to give me any more money because you're discounting your services. So where does that leave me? And a lot of...
Oh, you as a team member.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
If my doctor in the office decides that they are going to start offering discounts, number one, what's the point of having office fees if you're going to discount them? Number two, when you discount your fees, all I could see is my raise getting smaller and smaller and smaller, because where's that money supposed to come from? I'm realistic about this business of dentistry. Yes, I'm passionate about delivering healthcare, but I'm also realistic about the business side of things. Mm-hmm. And as an independent contractor, my independent contractor mind is thinking, okay, so you're going to start discounting things. That means there's going to be a discount in my raise. There's going to be a discount in my bonus. So for me, don't do it. Because once you start going down that rabbit hole, offering discount programs. So that this other thing, which is popular, which is in-house dental programs, because someone doesn't...
Clear.
Right, because someone doesn't have a dental benefit plan. Okay, well, they knew that when they came in. They made the appointment with you. So now you're going to try and offer them this discounted plan where, okay, so now for $395 a year, you get 2 cleanings and x-rays and blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, your overhead is going up, but you're offering this little discount thing you got here. And then you get 10% off of all the other fees, or 15 or 20% off of all the other fees. What's the point of having fees?
Because I think when we were at that one convention that we went to,
mm-hmm.
that we met with the Clear booth.
Right.
And I think that it was it I think cleanings and exams were covered, no charge to the patient. But of course, if they come in for treatment, I can't remember what the percentage off was. It might have been 20%, right. Somewhere 22%, somewhere around there. And I think that they were also doing a special at that time, if memory serves me,
right.
Because we were a part of that office manager's thing, and if we entered our office with that certain code, that we would get locked into that special pricing, whereas other people who have it or were interested would not get it.
Right.
But yeah, because with them not paying that is actually money that could have gone into a team member who's due a raise.
Right.
Or if you wanted to bring someone aboard, a new hire, that their credentials are so great that you want to be able to meet them economically to a happy place where you are able to pay them and they don't feel like they're being stiffed based off of their
resume.
Their resume or their zip code.
Right. That's another thing.
But situations like that, when people are hitting a stagnant with getting their raise, then the morale just erodes.
Yes.
It starts to really just start breaking down, and then you know, people start mentally checking out, like I mentioned in the previous video. People just start doing the bare minimum.
Yeah, because you're getting paid the bare minimum because we're bringing in the bare minimum.
Basically, you're getting what you're paying for.
Well, yeah, because think of it this way. When you start discounting your dental services, your dental oral or your oral health care services, the patient then doesn't perceive this as really necessary part of their health care because they're not doing the same negotiation tactics in the other healthcare offices. It's not happening. You pay for it or you get care credit to pay for it or whatever. We're not giving you a discount. We're not cutting the fee. We're not discounting your sister. We're not doing all this stuff.
Girl, I work for a doctor who, he would barter. Yes, girl, he would have
in the early 1800s.
Girl, he would have people who would come in and paint, and he would treat that patient for free. For free. And that's the first time I had, because I had heard of bartering. I was in my, I can't remember how old I was. But this is like before I started managing the office,
Okay.
way before then, before I became the manager. This is when I came in as the receptionist or front desk attendee or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
But there were so many people, like even at check, oh my goodness, girl, at checkout, patients were like, oh no, just bill me. And I would say, yeah. And like, oh yeah. Oh, he always lets me just pay later. And I would go to him, I'm like, he said that we can
pay later.
He'll send a pay, he'll
pay you Tuesday for his hamburger today.
Girl, let me tell you. And I used to hit the doctor with that. When he's like, oh yeah. He eventually pays. But then I think a month later he started complaining about bills and not them being paid. I said, well, unfortunately you adopt the wimpy philosophy. He's like, wimpy? What do you mean wimpy? Because he was East Indian, so he'd do the head bobble. What do you mean wimpy? And I'm not poking fun. I used to work with him, and I used to do it with him, and he even used to tell this terrible joke about East Indians on a plane, and he's East Indian, but I'm not going to tell the joke.
Don't tell me later.
But he would complain about the bills, and he's like, "What do you mean, what bill?" No. He would say, "I'm tired of these bills," and I say, "Well, you adopt the wimpy philosophy." He's like, "What do you mean, wimpy?" And I said, you remember from Popeye? I'll happily pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. Girl, when I said that, he bust out laughing. He said, there's nothing I can say. He said, that's absolutely correct. Mm-hmm. He said, I'm going to start telling them you see Gina up at the front. And then so when they would try that, and they would actually try it in front of him. And I would be like, Doc, are you okay with that? And he was like, no, I do what Gina tells me what we have to do. So unfortunately, yes, we have to. So it's what she says.
Right.
Girl.
Yes.
But it started to create a boundary with patients and me. And they started calling me the gold digger, the gold collector. Mm-hmm. Because when they were going to come see me, they knew that they had to drop something in the bucket before they left. But at that point, my morale wasn't eroded, but when my raise started to become stagnated because he was doing the discounts,
then the light bulb went off.
Ding, ding, ding. But
right. And you know what is amazing is sometimes team members adopt that same mentality. Well, this person, you're looking into, they're looking at that person's situation or looking at their pockets. You should never do that. Try not to do that. Yes, I understand that people have situations financially where they may not be able to afford treatments and whatnot, but discounting it is not the answer. Discounting it, trying to help, and I don't want to sound cold, but trying to help them figure out how to afford it is better. Pay on it until you can get it. But once you start this discount thing, then it starts to infect the entire team.
Girl, it snowballs.
It affects the pockets of everyone on the team. And again, it gives the patients the idea that oral health care is negotiable. Oral health care is negotiable. And it's not. It shouldn't be.
And that's their perception. That's their perception.
Yes.
That they can barter it.
Yeah.
You know, that they, I mean, there have been patients that would call in for an emergency and they would literally, now this is when they do try to treat dental like it's medical. Because, you know, you go to the emergency room and they'll bill you. Right. They'll bill you later. Or you can go to your regular doctor. They'll bill you later. Right. Because I went to my doctor recently and I'm still new with my, you know, understanding my plan. But I'm like, I'm pretty sure that there's a copay. And then so I asked her if she could look it up, you know, so I can pay it. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, if there's a bill, we'll send it to you. That's when patients do treat dental like it's like it's medical. Because they'll say, you know, will you guys just bill me so I can be seen? And unfortunately, we have to tell them no, that we can't, you know, because we do have to accept, you know, payment at time that service is rendered. And I do feel bad for those people. And don't get me wrong, I do understand why those discount things are in place, because it does try to make it a little less affordable. But like you said, it's like, why even create fees? Because if that's the case, then instead of just giving a discount, then bring your fee schedule down low to, you know, whatever, because you want to be able to make sure that you are able to take care of your team. Because are we all living in the same economy right now? The inflation is off the chain, and people's pay is not reflecting that.
No. And that includes the people delivering the services to you. So, and I get it. So how do you find the balance between understanding the economy, understanding people are bringing home less? Well, this is where you prioritize your care. You prioritize what needs to be done immediately, what needs to be done in, you know,
and a lot of times it is, 99% of the time, it is the patient's fault. Because how many times have you taken a phone call where a patient said they've been dealing with this for months, but then it went away, but now it's back. But now it's back at full force. That was the warning shot from before months ago.
Right. Your sweet voice months ago. You should have taken care of it.
I mean, I don't say that, but that's what I'm sitting there thinking.
That's the thought.
I'm like,
girl, it was hurt 3 months ago. We gave you that.
Like you thought,
told you to get the treatment. Now you want some more antibiotics.
I mean, I have had a patient ask me, I don't know what happened. And I did happen to tell him. I said, well, unfortunately, that was the warning. I said, you know, I said, and sometimes, yes, things kind of just taper off on their own. But
I think in an effort to try to seem as though you're on the patient's side, or you're really trying to help the patient, you end up hurting everyone else. And that's not a good situation. It's not sustainable. You will have long-term consequences for operating that way. I just think that if patients come in, emergency situations are one thing. Typically in an emergency situation, somebody can figure out how to pay for it. But in a situation where it's not seemingly an emergency and you know you need some stuff, to sit and look at the cost of it and then proceed to ask for, are there any kind of discounts? You know, I work in a space where the average age, and we just looked this up yesterday, the average age of one of the doctor's patients is around 75. And so it is, you hear, I'm on a fixed income, or I'm recently retired, or I'm retired. You hear all the aches and excuses, which I understand because I'm going to be there someday as well. However, the fact that you can stand here and ask me, is there a senior discount? And
girl, I had a patient ask me, do we take AARP?
No, we're not in Cincinnati.
They do that in Cincinnati?
No, Cincinnati. There used to be a show called WKRP.
I remember. I've never watched it, but I know that with Lonnie Anderson.
Yes.
Yeah.
My divergent brain went over there. But when someone asks, is there a senior discount? And the ladies in the front are like, and they had it before I got there, they had it noted. Yeah, it's 5% or 10%. And then I brought up the question, so why do we have office fees? Because if your average age of your patient is 75, they're all going to be seniors. Most of them are going to be seniors. So if we're giving everybody a 5% discount, why not just bring the fee down? cut 5% of the fee and just leave it there. And I know the answer why is because even if you bring it 5% down, they're still going to ask for a discount. So understanding that it's not necessarily that they can't afford it or they need it to be less, because when you really think about it, 5%.
And can I say this too? That a lot of times, and this is a little education for patients, unfortunately, because like we said before in a previous video, that we're still boots to the ground. So we have worked in different types of practices and have seen different things, because everything that we're sharing is based off of our personal experience, things that we've seen and endured. But I don't think that patients, they're just thinking in the moment, in the immediate, but they're not thinking about, well, if I get this discount, what will suffer? Because something is going to suffer, in the sense of, especially if it's a high production based type of thing, like if it's a crown or implant or something like that. The doctor more than likely will probably send it to a place where they're going to be able to save a little money.
Remember, we worked in that space where,
girl, what was the name of it? I will never forget what
the name.
I'm not going to say the name, but I remember when I opened up the lab, I didn't know it was a lab case. I didn't know what it was, but it was, because it was like in a weird box.
Yes.
So I opened it up, and it's in this little, like, almost sandwich baggy type of thing. And the crown literally looked like an old chewed up piece of Wrigley.
She was like, girl, they sent gum. It's like, that's not gum. That's a crown. And this patient, because this patient paid this discounted fee, this case went to that lab, and this is what their
patients are not thinking of that. But let me tell you, I recently had a patient that she said, point like, I don't want no cheap stuff in my mouth. I'm okay with paying the bill because I don't play that. And I was like, on the other hand, I was like, because it's the truth. Because something is going for the provider to be able to extend you a discount. Do we really think that you're going to truly get something totally premium? I mean, I'm not saying that it's going to break.
Not in all cases.
Right, but it's not going to break like glass. But, it'll hold for a period. But, to get a discount, something has to sacrifice.
Right. That discount has to be distributed all the way down the line.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's going to trickle down to somebody. It might not be you, but
somebody.
So, it could be one of us.
It could be.
So stop asking for discounts.
And stop giving them. Importantly, cut it out. Knock it off.
Period.
Tell the patient, knock it off. No.
Well, that will be in the bag.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to be coming back with more stuff, of course.
Yes.
And more fun with the on-douche.
Yes. We'll see you in the next episode.
This is tea.